position again.
that Andy's going to lay it down.
15, how much more?
I don't like this call from David Garbaz. I think he should have sniffed this one out, really.
Oh dear.
He didn't have enough chips to make Andy lay his hand down, and he hasn't got enough chips to waste calling with queen high pre-flop. He's got to save his chips for getting them in first and stealing the blinds. That's his job at the moment with this stack, and trying to play pots is something he hasn't got enough chips to afford the luxury of doing.
You could verbally say it, I understand.
The only thing he can do now is try and win this pot by moving all in and hope that Andy's missed. And if he does that, he's out of
I'm
the
all
tournament.
All in.
With no look.
I don't like the bet from Andy either. I think Andy should have checked behind and given David one more chance to hang himself. It's a very safe flop for a pair of kings. I don't know whether he did look at the flop, but he certainly ought to be looking at the flop. They're paying for $250,000, for God's sake.
There was that great, I think there was a great moment in the Premier League a couple of years ago where Helmuth did something similar to this, went all in before, in the dark, only to find out he'd flopped 4 of a kind. And the last thing he wanted to do was to be going all in.
I played one of these things about a month ago, and 2 players didn't look at their hand until the turn. And I had to point out to them that you are allowed to look at your hand before the turn, and you know, there's no actual reason why you would want to not look at your hand before the turn.
King 7.
It's a horrible flop.
I don't know, people do make the game more difficult than it ought to be. It's a toss-up as to who's played this one worse. I think David's actually shaded it. He's played it pretty horribly, but I don't think Greekfish is far behind. I can't believe David's seriously considering calling. I think he's just doing that thing where you kind of wish the last minute and a half hadn't happened.
There was a player who once asked Marty Wilson how long he had to think. And Marty said,
7, 15, please.
obviously the rest of your life.
Thank you.
Dave Garba's got a proper hand now, but he had to move all in, I feel, with whatever hand he had.
All in.
He might get some action here because the other 2 players will be aware of that. And he won't be calling with 7 high, surely. He's got 7,000 in the pot. He's got a player behind him, and it's 68,000 to him. I don't know why he's wasting the time.
Sometimes you do this
You know
for
what?
the benefit
Split
of
time,
the
I
player
played that
behind
last
you.
one so bad. Should have looked at the flop. Would have had your money then, not now.
Pass.
Simon Zach's got an ace, and he may well call this one, I think.
If he calls, it'll knock him down, about 180 or so, which is just under average.
68 total.
It looks quite relaxed. Kind of always looks like that, though, doesn't he?
Do you want a call?
I've never seen him not look relaxed.
Well,
And I've seen him in some fairly non-relaxing situations.
Or treble up.
Yeah.
Must be kind of leaning more towards the fold. I don't know. It's a tough fold.
Well, I think he's got a kind of meta-game consideration. He probably feels like he ought to call and he's in good spot, but he's just worried that he's going to lose ground to Andy Greekfish, and he probably felt that he was in a good spot to win this heat a minute ago.
I 6, I think 7-6.
This is great news for the Greekfish, especially because if Garbatz doubles up here, the Greekfish will have a pretty good chip lead and be able to kind of do what he wants. Maybe, is that the metagame you're talking about? The advantage it gives to the player out of the pot?
Yeah, I think so. I think Simon was quite liking his position 5 or 10 minutes ago, and he knows if he loses this one, he's really up against it again.
It'd be nice.
Oh.
Well,
Interesting
Zach has
turn
gone.
call.
Yeah, he's gone from hoping for the split to now thinking he's actually got some wins. The deuce, the 7, the 6.
There's the 6.
Okay.
Poor old David Garbaz.
Sick, yeah.
Yeah, he's sick. He's
Made a couple of mistakes today, but I think
he
he played pretty good. He can be
You can't
proud of
rebuy, you've
himself.
got
I know
to
he'll be very
Yeah,
disappointed.
I know,
He
I know.
really
It's the
enjoys
finality
these
of it all,
TV
sort of
things, and he'll be back again.
He's a pleasure to watch him. I mean,
You're going to
He's clearly a man who can handle it. You know what I mean? He takes it all with a grain of salt, doesn't he? Garbaz finally got into a spot he loved, really. Ace Queen versus the Ace 6, but that 6 on the river, it's a big pot actually.
It's absolutely gutting. You know, I always tend to finish third in these things, and I know I've not really done anything wrong today. I played a solid game. I'm upset. It's disastrous.
Fans and all the
This
rest of it,
has
rolling.
been building
20-3.
from the off. On one side, of course, Andy Greekfish, who has had this thing in the palm of his hand, let it slip away or had it taken away. Now is back in it, but still has to come through Simon Zach, who has been very steady from start to this point.
Yeah, Simon Zach was last in chips at one stage, and he had half the chips four-handed at one stage. So he's been sort of up and down all day.
Call.
Simon Zach going for a call here on the button. Usually implies heads up that you've got a kind of an above average hand, but you're not too committed to it. But as it happens, Andy's got a very bad hand. Before the flop, he had a very bad hand.
Well, this could be the end.
He's now got quite a good hand, and there's
30,000.
a flush draw for Simon Zach.
Which is going to be very tough to throw away. Especially,
Probably not to know that he's only got a 1% chance of winning this hand. This could easily be the end.
well, if Greekfish fast plays, it probably will be. He might think his hand is so big he can't fast play that Zach is likely bluffing and needs to let him catch up, which would be reasonable.
I think he's definitely going to just flat call here. I think he's right to just flat call. He's having a little count up. But
Call.
You get the feeling. You get the feeling that Greekfish.
there's probably not enough money in there for Simon Zach to move the whole lot